class, right?
Oh,
So this is the culture, and it's a culture class.
Okay.
So this is not the normal exchange, if you will.
Okay.
So certainly I know the French exchange has happened far more frequently, but there have the last, I'm going to call it an exchange. It wasn't a real exchange, but that more of a program, whereas this is this is a newer class.
Okay. That makes sense. Thank you.
Any discussion? All those, new business? Would any members like to raise additional items for inclusion on a future agenda item?
I would, when we discussed the film policy last month, it was brought up that there may be a trial and extension of that to include a full day. I would like to have a conversation here before that goes through. Ms. Chad, you can.
I just asked for a clarification on that, just for future planning. Timing, are you thinking of waiting until that? Because I'm pretty sure I heard Patrick say spring when he was
Right,
here.
it's like-
Do you want to wait until it gets close, or did you want an earlier?
I'm fine to do it at any point beforehand,
Okay.
but I think just as long as the conversation takes place,
Okay.
maybe earlier might be better before too much planning is done.
Okay.
I was going to say, so it's I know the plan was for the high school, with working with student council and the school council to try the current policy for a period and then bring a modified in the winter to try out in the spring. So I'm hearing you say you'd like to have a discussion before that work is done.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's sooner rather than later. Gotcha. You don't want to wait until there's a proposal and discuss a proposal.
Right.
Okay.
May I ask what the proposal entails, or are the details being worked on? It's still being worked on.
So yeah, so it's the way that Mr. Kelly put this into place was the change this year to, as you know, so you're handing your phone in every class period. So the idea is that would be a trial for the first portion of the year, first half of the year. And then working with school council, student council, the idea would be to talk about, do we want to test pilot a true bell-to-bell, which is you hand your phone in at the beginning of the day and you get it back at the end of the day. So you've got iterations like we have, Newburyport's a little different. If you go over to Ipswich is literally, you go to first period, you have a homeroom, you put your phone in a locked case, and you have homeroom at the end of the day for 3 minutes to get your phone back. So that was the thinking. None of that would happen until it's brought back. So Paul is saying, let's have a discussion before that planning happens. So there is not a proposal yet, but that was the thinking.
Yeah, it's good to know.
Good question.
Did you have something, Paul?
No, I was just trying to work people.
Oh, yeah.
You have a question?
The next item is the MSBA project update. Matt Landers, the chair of the building committee, will provide an update.
Okay, as a reminder, we were invited to launch feasibility on August 27th. We submitted our feasibility agreement to the MSBA for review on September 4th. We are currently on Module 2, selecting the project team, specifically working on OPM selection. The draft request for services for an OPM was submitted to the MSBA for review on September 8th, which was ahead of schedule, which was supposed to be October 6th. At the next school building committee meeting on Thursday, September 25th, we will confirm the OPM selection subcommittee members, and we will be placing a advertisement in the Central Register by October 30th. The advertisement will appear by November 5th, and applications will be due for OPMs on November 19th. And the OPM selection subcommittee will be reviewing applications, shortlisting firms, conducting interviews, reference checks, and putting together a selection package. And they'll make a recommendation to the school building committee, and the selection package must be received by the MSBA for review by December 10th, and the MSBA will confirm our selection on January 5th, 2026. And also, we have a video on the project website that explains the whole process way better than I ever could. And I'm sure Brian wants to add to that.
Sorry, we're talking technical difficulties. So the one thing I will add, as far as the video, so the full 5.5-minute video is online. Ketty is pushing out on social media each of those. It's into 3 pillars. I think it's the opportunity, the timeline, and I'm forgetting what the third pillar is. So those will be pushed out separately as shorter. I think they're each like 1.5 minutes, a little more digestible. But I think the video speaks to what we keep talking about, which is this is about communicating early and often. The theme for this work has been there will be no one that has any excuse to say that they were surprised by this, because we are going to force feed this information out in every possible way we can to make sure that this is well known and understood. And that will mean a lot of tough conversations, I know, over the next 2.5 years before we get to a vote. And I'm not sure if you said this, Matt, and I apologize if you did. The things we keep talking to, the questions that keep getting asked are, from a parent, is when will my child experience the new building? Likely 2031 is the time when we'll be in a new developed building. And the second question from taxpayers, town officials, is when do we think this will be coming to a vote? And we believe that will be in calendar year 2028, probably spring or fall, it depends. So other than that, I don't want to reiterate stuff that you already said.
Does anybody have any other questions?
Linda, can you pause for 1 second? So apparently some microphones are fine. It sounds like they didn't charge. Can we just go around and test each of the microphones, and Dylan will be able to tell you whether it's good or not? So Aaron, can you speak into yours?
Testing, testing.
Aaron's is good.
Testing, testing.
That was good.
Hello, hello?
Testing. Testing. Oh, it's working great.
Okay, let's go. Yeah, I think he was saying Melissa, Linda, and Paul were good. Not Paul.
Mine okay?
Testing, testing. Testing, testing.
Those two are good. Testing, testing. Can you... Testing, testing.
No addition for
Not-
viewers.
Testing, testing. This was normal when it got to. That was a good one. This was a bad one.
Okay, the next item is district communication strategy. At the goals workshop Saturday morning, the need for a communication strategy was raised again. This is obviously a broad topic, but it will be one of the committee's goals for this year. We agreed to bring it here tonight to begin the discussions. While this will be budget dependent, we need to work this fall to talk about expectations and to do some research. Is there anybody who would like to start the discussion?
I mean, I guess I don't know if Brian wants to kick this off. I know Paul wasn't there. Everybody else was kind of there for that conversation. But, I mean, I think this has been going on for a long time. People that have been on the committee for a while can attest to the idea that, you know, we've been talking about this since Dina was chair, Dina and Deb, so that would have been like 2017, 2018, probably goes back farther than that I don't even remember. But it's just that idea of, you know, we're kind of, Triton, especially the middle school, high school, sort of sits in the middle of 3 towns. It's hard, I think, for people that aren't nearby to know exactly what's going on here and to be able to get involved and celebrate successes and know where gaps are and improvements are being made and all that type of stuff. And then with the building project more recently, it's come back to light because there's obviously a lot of communication going on around that. And it's to people that we don't necessarily have easy access to. Somebody who's a senior in town or somebody with no children in town is going to have enough information to make a vote on paying for a building project down the road, and they haven't necessarily, they may not even be able to, given a lineup of multiple building pictures, pick which one the middle school, high school currently looks like out of that lineup. So, I think that's where it comes from. For my thoughts, I think we need to be monetary conscious, but I don't think we can put this off anymore because we have so many things that are sort of becoming part of this idea of how to get communications out, how to get information out, how to have people know what's going on, to the point that even like our councils on aging, have situations where they can bring people here for visual and performing arts performances. We could have people coming here for athletic events and things like that, and they have no idea that even exists. And it's a virtually, in many cases, virtually free option for them to get access to some entertainment and be able to be one more person supporting kids in that audience. And there's no real way to do that right now, to get that information out. So it goes to the folks in the district, I think, but it also, goes to the folks that aren't actively involved, and they're sort of the broader community at this point on how we get that information out actively, so that the community is supporting the district and the district is supporting the community. It should be this, give and get on both sides, and I don't think that's happening right now, and it's because there is a divide in communication. So I think personally, the building project is really important. Even talking about things like we have what'll effectively be an oversized auditorium and set of gyms for the number of students that are here on this campus. There seems to be, I think, broad understanding from our town representatives that those are things that for the broader community, not necessarily the kids here in the building, we need to preserve the size of those and the scope of what we have there for the broader community, because our communities are small enough that they don't have their own recreation departments, they don't have their own gyms, they don't have all those things that other communities sort of provide outside the schools. But honestly, other than the town representatives weighing in on that, it goes beyond that. It goes to, who's actually coming in and using our auditorium, and do they have a voice in sort of what that looks like? Who's coming in and using our gyms, and do they have a voice, right? And that's all, I think that's all a piece that we're touching on right now, but it needs to be broader than what we have currently. So anyway, I guess that's my 2 cents. My thoughts on this would be, just because it is a budgetary concern, that we try to have some definition around what we'd like to see. And then, obviously we have to go into budget season with the idea that that has to be a consideration.
I just have really an extension of that. I agree with everything you said, but it seems like it's about transparency, and the enhanced communication is, from my perspective, is really budget-driven, because the people that aren't connected to our community don't have the access right now presently, but if we were to take steps to plug a number into our budget to focus on enhanced communication with the entire community, it would bode us much better in the future in budget discussions. I recognize that the building project is a part of it, but I really want to focus more on ongoing communications and about the budgetary process, and so that people have a better idea what they're getting for their tax dollars.
I think it's important that each individual elementary school is highlighted. When you live in those communities, they know about what's going on in those, it's when their students come up to the middle school and high school, especially for the seniors and the families that don't have kids that come up here, that we want to make sure that they understand what great things are happening up here, because maybe some of their students that don't go here now, because of all the communication that we hope to give to them in the future, will make them come back, you know. I just think it's important for us to make sure that even beyond the building project, that we continue to say what good things are happening here as well as with our elementary schools. Because this is a budget line item on all three communities, and we want our communities to feel that these schools are theirs as well, and what goes on inside, letting them know what goes on inside. And I guess the question is, we have to possibly think about how we're going to communicate this, whether we're going to use an outside firm or utilize what's inside the schools.
Yeah, I think that's the pressing question is, what's the commitment to this, right? We can internally, we reformatted our district weekly news to hopefully be more efficient, sending out a weekly video. I'm going to highlight something every week. So I think we can come up with new strategies and ways to get information out. But the idea is, do we rely on existing people and thinking, or do we work with a firm who are communicators, you know, through as a profession, and understand how to get information out? And to Paul's point, right, this isn't just about short term, this is long term. We have the pressing, obviously, we have the discussion about this project. And when we get to a vote in 2028, when we're trying to make that compelling case, we've talked around the table of the gymnasiums are like the only gymnasiums in town. If we're telling that story out of context of what the district does and provides and the amazing things happening, it falls on deaf ears, versus if you're telling that story and people have an understanding and appreciation for the district, that's received very differently and people believe that. So yeah, I think it's, I think that is the question it boils down to, is this something we want to allocate funding for an outside firm, or to hire a person who is a communication specialist? And so I think once we have that decision, it is an investment, right? It's more of an investment than we're making now. It would be likely a smaller working group, a subcommittee or something, to say, what's the best approach?
Yeah. So I think I would like to propose to the Policy and Advocacy Committee that possibly we look at different scenarios that we can come back to the committee to see what we've researched.
Okay.
If that is the will of the committee, to have the subcommittee start investigating that.
Brian, I just have a question. The person that presently works on a big part of this in the district, is it Ketty or Letty?
Ketty, yep.
Ketty.
Yep.
Would it be appropriate for her to sit with Policy and Advocacy to give her viewpoints on this?
Yeah, I mean, if not sitting at all the meetings, certainly coming in to talk about perspective, for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
May I suggest the idea that one reason or one incentive to get people that don't go to the school or send their kids to the school to want to pay taxes for the building of the new school is, like Brian kind of brought up, the things that we do for outside the school and like just the general community itself. May I suggest that we maybe look into like events for the broader community of the three towns? So I mean, football games are great. You know, I know that Braxton I get a bit of money for the school, but maybe is there other options we could approach just for like the community, as in like maybe weekly recreational games. As you said, there isn't many like recreational places. Like there isn't a local gymnasium just for the towns. It's just mainly for Triton. So maybe like pick up basketball in the morning, like it's a free space. That's the idea.
I do think that is something, right? We talk about how to connect with the community as a whole, right? And often we talk about it in context with certain things, but the idea of making that routine is kind of the nature of what we're trying to do, right? Is that kind of long-term connection. So, yeah, great point.
Or you can have that as something in the subcommittee as well for advocacy. Does anybody else have any questions?
He can't hear you at all.
It's me.
Thanks for calling me out.
I say it all the time, I can't hear it. So I sit like
Oh, I'm
this and
sorry,
do
you
this.
couldn't hear me?
He can't hear. Sometimes, Linda, I only get every third word, honestly.
Can you hear me now?
I'm a professional advocate. I want to advocate on behalf of my brother.
Do you want to be the vice chair?
What?
You want to be the vice chair?
I'm good, I can hear.
I was just saying that, I don't know if you heard that I'd like to send this to the policy and advocacy group to look at some firms or seeing what's in-house, see what is available, and then bring it to the full committee to see hear what we've researched, and then to bring it here and see if you want to go in the direction that we researched or if there's something else. As well as what Foster has said, that maybe the policy and advocacy could also look at if that was possible with Brian. That probably during school, I don't know if the gyms are available during school, the track. But maybe at night or on the weekend or something, we could look at something. Go ahead.
Okay, just thought I'd check. I actually am in agreement of kind of going down this road and seeing the options, because we have a lot of great things happening here, and it doesn't always make it out to the broader community, but then we also have a lot of big decisions to make that aren't just, we have budget, that's a very big thing we talk about a lot, and then we also have the building, that's a big thing, but there are smaller pieces that the community weighs in on that they don't necessarily have the information, so they hear about it after the conversation has taken place, after the school committee has voted, after the school has implemented it. And that creates to a disconnect. So anything that we can do that allows people to kind of bring their voice in on those topics before the vote, before they're hearing about it, kind of like, oh, guess what just happened, is going to not only help bring the community here and recognize like this is still their building, because Salisbury, Newbury, Rowley all have their school buildings, but this is where they all come together. This building is all three towns. It belongs to all three towns. And so getting that message out there, it's a good effort, but having one person working on it and trying to get all that information, it's a huge ask. So looking to a professional, seeing the cost of that and the value of that as we move forward with almost every decision, every discussion would be, I think, valuable. And obviously, when we get to the financial piece of looking, once policy and advocacy looks at it, and then seeing kind of the options, I would definitely kind of want to go down this road and see the financial piece.
It's also going to be, like we talk about the gymnasium and we talk about the performing arts. It would be nice for people to understand, like our director of the performing arts got, what was it? No, what was we were the only school in Massachusetts. Frozen. Like, that would be great news to send out saying, this is why we need a bigger gym size than the student size that we have, because our director of performing arts look what she's done. So I don't know if, I know we tried to get that out as much as we could, but I mean, imagine having that out there, that we were only that we're the first school in Massachusetts to have that. And just showing why we need bigger gyms because of all the youth groups that come in, or the community that comes in. So I think it's very important to get any information that we have in our schools out.
So Brian, I have a question. Can you talk a little bit about service, like what the upperclassmen do for service in the community?
Like through community service?
Yeah.
So there is a community service club, and honor societies have a community service requirement as a component of membership. We do not have a community service graduation requirement. I would say the community service club is very active, right? Well, I mean, lots of participants, and so I would say it's an active group. And as far as things that they do, I mean, you name it. Everything from working with Council on Aging to Veterans Affairs to work in towns, food kitchens. So, I mean, it's pretty much across the board over the years what they've been involved with.
Mr. Kelly noted at open house last week that it's the largest club in the school as well.
So I bring this up because it would be nice to get all of these little foot soldiers to work towards our community conversation, communication, transparency. You know, if that was their mantra, if you will, before they get to all their other little things, and that was the goal and what they were trying to do, that would be helpful because it would be boots on the ground attempt.
Yep.
And maybe in those groups, maybe they could incorporate something that Foster is looking for and come up with possible different things that the community members may want to do. Like, you know, have them take on a project of going out to the community and seeing what they would like to see up here or do up here. Or
Absolutely.
Go ahead, Foster.
I must agree with that statement because I definitely know there are many kids around Trenton who would definitely have some interest in maybe setting up such events. Like maybe, I know we have different soccer leagues, maybe a soccer clinic for the school or as community service. I mean, I know that doesn't necessarily affect people that aren't sending their kids to school, but it's just a good starting point.
Does anybody have anything else? Is everybody in agreement of sending that to policy and advocacy?
So I do think I think policy and advocacy is the right place for it, but I would ask that you consider and bring back a couple options rather than one recommendation, just because I think we are going, unfortunately, sorry to throw pens at you, to end up being price sensitive to some degree, right? And if we end up with a situation where it's a great look, but there's no possible way we could put it in the budget, I mean, there's so many things in the past that we've done where we've said, this is going to be year one step, and this is going to be year two, and then year three, we get to sort of where we want to be. And if we could end up in a situation like that, or a situation where we're sort of have a long-term plan and maybe it's not even implemented on year one, maybe the building project starts by kind of carrying some weight there and the building committee, and then it's moving on. I don't know what that looks like, but I just ask. I don't think one recommendation is necessarily what I'd love to see. I think, kind of broader research and finessing of looking at a couple of different options might be, it just gives us more flexibility potentially down the road.
But what part of my vision was for it was to research a few things and then bring back the research that we've done and then talk over with the full committee as to which direction we would like to go in the research that we've done. Okay, so The next item, anybody have anything else on that? The next item is the DCC meeting schedule. The first DCC meeting of the year was last Thursday in Raleigh. It was a relatively short meeting, but the superintendent gave an update on the beginning of the school year activity. The group confirmed the proposed DCC schedule that we went over at our last meeting, and we discussed expectations for the November school finance presentation. The next meeting is scheduled for October 9th here at Triton at 6:30. So in November, we're going to be having it in Salisbury. It's what we had a few years ago at the Raleigh Fire Station. Narissa is going to go over school finances and how the state calculates those, and a few other things that the DCC has asked for. Any questions on that? The next item is the superintendent's report. The superintendent will now give his report.
My report is very brief this month. We met a few weeks ago. There's a quick update there about the building project, and again, pointing folks to the building project website, because that is going to be the source of information throughout the project. And then my new video series that launched last week, Weekly Scoop with the Soup. So that is going to happen, and it will be 2 to 3 minutes each week to just bring you some exciting and amazing things happening around the schools. But the one thing I do want to share with you, I updated you, or I'm sorry, I alerted you last month, but we have more information now that we are, this is the first time that we've been reviewed in this capacity by the Department of Ed. Larger urban districts have had this review fairly routinely. Smaller districts, it's never happened here at Triton. So it is extremely comprehensive. You know, we do it used to be the coordinated program review. Now it's called tiered focus monitoring that focuses really specifically on special education, student services, special education 504, civil rights. This is very different in that it isn't as much about specific programming as much as it is the very comprehensive look at the entire operation of the district. You will have an opportunity to have one-on-one meetings if you so choose with the reviewers. There will be parent forum, family forums. They will be in and observing the week of October 27th. My understanding is they want to try and coordinate all of that the week of October 27th, but we're in the works with setting all of that up. They'll observe, they'll probably go into about 75% of classrooms to do quick 15-minute observations. And yes, they're doing this the week of Halloween. Thank you, Department of Ed. So yes, this is turning out to be an extensive evaluation. So AIR conducts and does the work, but just to share with you that we do now know that it's the week of October 27th, so you'll hear more information about your ability to be involved, family forums in the evening and such. So just wanted to bring that to your attention. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Out of curiosity, what does this review mean for the school? So as in, like, if it goes well, if it doesn't turn out well, what does that necessarily mean?
Foster, you should be on a school committee someday. So that's a great question. So it is, I would say to you, it is not, I don't want to say non-binding, right? It is a very public review of the district, but there aren't strings attached to, with a tiered focus monitoring, if we are out of compliance with special education law or 504 in providing accommodations or civil rights, right? If we're violating laws or not following policies, there's very clear corrective action. This review is based on that, a link there, a set of standards that the department has created to say, this is how a well-functioning district should operate, everything from governance, school committee, on through budgeting, through instruction, through school councils and student councils, the way they work. So I would say it's much more global not binding in that it's not whether we're following laws or not, but it's whether we could be deemed a district that follows best practices. So they don't come in and shut us down, but they will say, yeah, you're really good here. You have some work to do there. Yeah. And students will have an opportunity to share too.
Does anybody have any questions for the superintendent?
I got a question. Oh, Brian, I see that a fifth grade teacher departed on August 20th from Newbury Elementary.
Yes.
And so what'd they do? What'd the principal do?
Say that again?
What did the principal do as a result of the vacancy?
So we hired.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, it was very, very last minute. And so we actually, the new hire was not here for orientation or for orientation or those first 3 days, but they were here on the first day of school. So it's actually a teacher who came from a neighboring district. And so when that happens, have it currently happening again, superintendents get in touch and say, okay, right, I understand they're leaving me, coming to you. We'll work out a schedule. And that was able to work out. So the teacher was in the classroom on day one. But it was certainly rushed. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
For a motion? I'll make a motion to receive and file the monthly report of the superintendent of schools.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? The next item is the technology fees. The superintendent is going to talk through a proposed schedule of technology fees for repairs and replacements.
So what you have before you is under the policy, and it's linked on this document, when, as a general policy, if a student or someone destroys school property, bless you, I have the ability as the superintendent to recover the fees, the replacement costs. So textbooks, straightforward process, fewer textbooks than they used to be. But so that's always been a fairly straightforward process. Now that we have Chromebooks in everyone's hands, this is a fee schedule that when a student is found to purposefully cause destruction to one of the devices that you are looking at in front of you right now, then these are the charges roughly that we are charging families currently. We had some discussion in the past about fully insuring the devices, the Chromebooks. It's fairly costly. We had talked about a program where we would offer a kind of a self-insurance where if you pay $30 a year into, we buy the supplies, we do the repairs, and then if something happens, you don't have to worry about it. So that's still in discussion, but I think in the short term, I wanted to, in working with John Kwiatek, our technology director, make sure there's a document that expressly calls out the fees. Again, I have the authority to assess the fees. I would love this in a document that we can share with people to say, these are not unreasonable costs, right? If it's a full destroyed, yes, you're going to buy a new one. It's pretty rare, I would say, in those glass walls. I think one of our meetings you saw piles and piles of Chromebooks with two of the guys going through them. So keyboards, screens, hard drives, pretty much all of that we can do the repairs in-house. It's pretty rare that we wouldn't just say it's destroyed and we would send it off to HP to be repaired. The majority of the stuff we can do in-house. So these costs, a screen, I want to say we literally pay $29.50, right? So these are costs that we're just passing along the cost of the parts. This is, if it's accidental, if it happens in school, obviously we're not going to charge, but if it's lost or in the student's possession and it doesn't ever get returned and there isn't a viable discussion there or a viable reason, then this does give us the ability. So we certainly work with families. This isn't really a change in practice. This is saying, I would like this on a piece of paper, so it's very clear up front that you're walking around with a $300 device. Let's make sure we're taking care of it. So I will say, I think we've had this discussion. The middle school was having a problem. It was fairly routine. That's gotten better. But putting this out there as a request for you to formally adopt this, because as a fee schedule, that's in your purview, tuition, fees. You formally set those fees. So that's the request.
Does anybody have any questions?
I do. Is this a good until updated
Yeah.
schedule of fees? Okay. Is there going to be a regular reevaluation cycle for this so that we don't end up having an issue where our published, screen replacement is $30 and 5 years from now someone is hauling up this document and saying it's $30 when the actual cost is much more than that at that point?
So absolutely, and I think, like I said, there may be, we're working on that concept of, does it make sense to have that kind of self-insurance option? And so this would all come back as part of that if we land there. Current thinking is probably not, this is the easier way. It's more rare. So, but yes, certainly, as the costs adjust, we will adjust the document for sure and bring it back to you. Yeah. Matt?
So who's making a determination whether it's an accident or not?
It's largely been the principal and the tech director that have the conversation. Yeah.
So what happened? Never. Like, is there a lot of pushback on that? Because if like a student says like, I tripped and it fell, like, I'm sorry, and then the principal and the tech director are like, that was on purpose, here's the bill. Like, is that, when we put this into place, like, how is it differing than what's happening currently? So like.
Again, no different than what's happening currently.
So is there like a process? Like, if a family gets a $300 bill and their student comes home and is like, I literally tripped. And yes, it went flying, or like my backpack fell off, I rolled down, like whatever, it's middle school, so things can happen.
I would say to you, we're not issuing a bill unless we're really clear.
Okay, that is my question.
Yeah. We're not sending bills out daily. Yeah.
I do wonder, I mean, personally, I have recently lost my school charger, and I'm not afraid to admit that I lost it. Is it one of those things where I had to pay for it because it's lost? Because you said it was more like accidents or, happened, but like, of course, I didn't purposely cause any damage to the thing. I just wondering how that works out.
So the way we've listed this, if it's lost, then we have charged and said you need to buy another one, right? So it's in generally, like, you're buying another replacement, and then when it comes back in, we turn it back in.
Right.
Yeah.
I was just curious.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up. I would say the chargers, if we can get rid of chargers, life would be a whole lot better, right? If we could just have devices that just auto recharge, because that is the most common thing, is chargers
Keep the
dissipate.
chargers in the schools.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to use your microphone.
So we need to consider wireless charging in the new school desks,
Say that one more time.
wireless charging pads in the new school desks.
100%, yeah. We're going all Mac then anyway, so it's good.
Does anybody else have any other? Does anybody else have any other questions? Oh, go ahead, Foster.
What are the rules on bringing a computer that isn't the issue school Chromebook? Is that allowed? Is that not? Because I know plenty of people that go, I like to use the Mac because it's, it can connect to my phone. It can help me like easily transfer things. So what's the rules on that?
So we put a Chromebook in everyone's hands so that it levels the playing field, right? From the perspective of a teacher, 20 students in front of them, knows every student can, when I say, hey, go to X site, they can go there. So there's that piece of leveling the playing field from an equity standpoint. And then on top of that, the Chromebook, we can control what you can do during the day. On your MacBook, a superior machine. We cannot control what you can do during the day. And by law, if you are in our seats accessing our network, I have to be able to control and protect you, even though you're really good at protecting yourself, I have to be able to protect you from the interwebs. Yeah. So that is the reason why we don't, as a general rule. And that doesn't mean, I know there are times when that happens, but as a general rule, private devices can't be connected to our network. And I know it, right? Someone comes in with their hotspot and uses it, and that's totally different. At that point, we didn't authorize it, and you're not accessing our network and internet to get that information.
This is more like a legal standpoint.
100% legal, yeah.
I type more than I talk anyway.
Does anybody have any other questions?
I'll make a motion to approve the schedule of fees for the replacement or repair of Chromebooks.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? The next item is the district strategy for improvement. The superintendent is going to briefly go through the district strategy for improvement.
So because we spent a lot of time on this at our workshop on Saturday, I will just share with you, right, the overall structure of this district strategy has stayed the same since the first iteration in 2016, or 2017 rather. As a concept, we have used this document to be a living, breathing way to focus our work for the coming year. It is not a strategic plan that sits on the shelf. It's supposed to be something that's active and guides our work. So the changes for this year include the incorporation of the Portrait of a Learner, as well as we talked at the workshop about pulling out the conditions for success. We had a discussion about the fact that those are maybe good internally, and they are, to help us when we create an agenda. And if we're hitting the same condition for success all the time, the question becomes, well, why aren't we spending some time on that other condition? So we'll continue to use that internally, but those are no longer included in the strategy itself. So I won't go through each of the actions, but the outline is it includes the focus areas from last year, the 5 objectives, which have not changed, and there were 4 actions for each item last year, goes through an overview of our progress on those actions last year and those objectives, and then includes the objectives and the areas of focus for the coming year. So I think the themes throughout are our focus on, continue to focus on equity and belonging, the focus on implementing the Portrait of a Learner and all that entails, everything from aligning of schedules with the middle school and the high school to opportunities for building community, and then the building project, right? I think those are the 2 themes that you keep seeing throughout multiple action items. So that's about as brief as I could be. Happy to answer any questions if you have any. You didn't expect me to be done that quickly.
Questions on the
District strategy for improvement.
Thank you. District strategy for improvement. No questions? None from you, Foster?
None at the moment.
Can I have a motion to approve the 2025-2026 district strategy for improvement as presented?
All right, I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? The next item is the school committee goals. That's what I was distracted with. I apologize. I was supposed to send them out. I did not. So Narissa is going to be sharing it with you right now. At Saturday's workshop, we decided on 2 goals for the upcoming year, one on how to best support the district's Portrait of a Learner initiative, and one on communication strategy. I drafted some language setting benchmarks earlier this week to support those goals. Those are here in print version. I'd like your feedback as soon as Narissa sends them to you guys.
Nothing like pressure.
And the way Narissa and I put it on the paper is, these are our initial goals, and during the year, as we either meet some of those goals or we feel that they need to be tweaked, we can always bring them back to another meeting and tweak whatever it is we need. This was just trying to get out what our thoughts were on that Saturday meeting, and this is what we came up with.
Do you want to do this on October 8th?
Right. I mean, if you guys want to, she has sent them to you, so if you guys would much rather look at them between now and then, and we can put this on that agenda item, or if you just want to look at them and we can go through, have a conversation, whatever you guys want to do. It's the will of the committee.
I wonder if it came through. It says it's sent on my end.
I have it.
Oh, you do?
I haven't.
Yeah.
So it's just Aaron that's missing it? Oh, you have it now. Awesome.
You have it too, Paul?
Are there any changes? Oh my goodness. Are there any changes from the ones?
So we didn't break it down when we were at the workshop on Saturday, which is the main thing here, is we talked about like the 2 high-level items. And then, Linda and I usually take that and we try and figure out where it fits into the meeting schedule, where, when is it reasonable to do this? Do we need to just say legitimately that we're not going to do any work during budget season on something like this? Like major stuff, right? If it's a quick review and approve, fine. If it's some in-depth work, I don't think it's getting done mid-January through end of February. So we can't schedule it in there. So those types of things are where we sit down and we kind of figure out where are the steps and where can we fit them into our schedule to either meet a deadline if we have one mid-year, or get it done by the end of the year since we typically have annual goals, or is it longer than a year and it becomes a multi-year goal? So the items that are in the box are really the piece that we sort of put together as far as how do we get to where the committee wants to be.
Just so that we have some goals and some deadlines to hit. That's the reason why I say that those are just the initial thoughts that were put out there on Saturday. So it was just a matter of us trying to have some sort of, exactly. And right now, the policy and advocacy are probably going to drive some of those communication deadlines or milestones. So we'll have to get started with that and then figure out where it will fit. And then Portrait of a Learner, we just have to see how our goals intersect with the districts as to what we have to do.
Thank you. I was just double checking. There wasn't like any major changes.
I didn't hear you, sorry.
It's going around tonight. I just double checking. There weren't any major issues. Just the addition of those timelines. Okay, perfect. Perfect, thank you.
The timelines are the big thing, and then I think for Portrait of a Learner, trying to think strategically how to address that, right? There's a lot of school committee business that happens in the subcommittees, and then there's some that's entirely outside the subcommittees. So it's easy to say, are there policies that Portrait of a Learner that should be better support, adjusted to better support the Portrait of a Learner initiative? That's an easy one to put in policy and advocacy. But when we're saying things like, is there a way that we can better develop agendas or present agendas to reflect what's going on with Portrait of a Learner? Does there need to be a check-in? Like, what does that look like? That falls outside subcommittees. So the idea was to have subcommittees look at sort of their pieces of business first, just because you know your stuff, it's easy to break it down. And then anything that's left over, Linda and I can sort of strategically look through and try and find other things that might, is an adjustment, is an addition, is there something in there that's standing in the way of implementation? Then, we need to adjust, because it's a big initiative that's going to touch everything the district does.
Thank you.
No, and if anybody thinks that we should add something else in there to help those initiatives, we can just always you guys can just always bring it up, of something that, me and Narissa overlooked. It was just trying to get something on paper and have a direction as to what our goals are.
In 4 days.
So that's why there's, will be gaps in there until we figure out which direction we should go in.
I think it reflects what we talked about Saturday and then adds in, I obviously just read it and then listened, but from that, it reflects what we talked about on Saturday and then adds in what could be added in while leaving it open to then support any areas that might require additional support. So it looks good on the first reading and this discussion.
Yeah, because it's not a document that's in stone. These are our goals, and it's a moving target. And these obviously are probably going to be multiple year goals that will have to be done.
Do you want to vote tonight or no?
Yeah.
Does anybody have concerns about voting this tonight? Do you want to wait until October? All right, I'll make a motion to approve the goals for the school committee for the 2025-2026 school year as presented.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? The next item is the superintendent goals.
So you have, very briefly, you have in front of you 3 goals. Again, I am bound by a very specific structure at the state level to be evaluated, where I have to have a student learning goal, a professional practice goal, and a district improvement goal. So the goal that I had last year for student learning, I'm going to keep the same, which is that 75% of students grade 2 through 8 are at or above grade level in both reading and math as measured by iReady. So we made great progress. So for math, it was 56% in that category in 22, increased to 61, 67, and then 70%. In reading, it was actually 66, went up to 70 in 23, went backwards in 24, and then rebounded to 70 last year. So I will keep the goal at 75. I was thought about putting it higher because I certainly think that it's important to keep a lofty goal there. So that will continue to be the goal into next year. As far as the second goal is about, for professional practice, is about launching that, the middle school, high school project, with the specific actions being my role in that communication strategy, the routine and timely updates, and then making sure that by the end of April, that we have a full design team in place. That is the owner's project manager as well as the designer. We are certainly bound by the MSBA timelines, but I also am going to make sure that we are pushing to keep that. We currently have a tentative date with the owner's project manager review panel on January 5th, and a tentative date with the design review panel. It's April 7th, 6th, 8th, somewhere in that first 10 days of April. So that is the goal there. And then on district improvement overall, it is about implementing the Portrait of a Learner now that governs our work for all students preschool through age 22 in all facets of our work and identifying those core competencies. And now that we have agreed to this, now it's about finding how this comes into play day in, day out in all the work that we do. So happy to answer any questions you might have. I know we spent more time on this on Saturday, so.
Does anybody have any questions?
I'll make a motion to approve the goals for the superintendent of schools for the 2025-2026 school year as presented.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? The next item is the subcommittee reports, policy and advocacy. Erin?
So policy and advocacy met tonight, right before this meeting. We worked through the MASC new policies that came out of the bulletin to make recommendations and adjustments. They'll be coming back to the Policy and Advocacy Committee next week, or next month, to have a second look at them and then bring them to the regular school committee. We will be reviewing Section G next, and we talked a little bit about how we can make contributions into the communications for the community and what we can do to make sure that information's getting out as well. Our next meeting is on October 8th. It'll happen at 5:30.
Thank you. Personnel and negotiations. Matthew?
We met on September 8th, and our next meeting is tomorrow at 1:15.
Finance. Paul Mayette?
We met last week to talk about the closing out of fiscal year 25, and I think the biggest item to report there is that we were not required to dip into the stabilization to make that those numbers come together, so that was good. Small victories. And we are meeting, we set our meetings for the third Thursday of every month at 3:45. So,
Thank you, Paul. Facilities. Matthew?
We have not had any meetings, and we don't have anything scheduled currently.
And I want to thank Foster for being part of our school committee. And again, as the nurse has said, you're welcome to ask as many questions as you want. I want to thank you all. Once again, it takes a village to do the work that we do here. And now that we have Foster, he's part of our village now. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn?
Any discussion? All those in favor? Thank you, and have a nice evening.